Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning, and I'm a veteran of the professional wrestling business for over a decade, and I've held every single job except selling popcorn. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, a man who I've called many times my Gorilla Monsoon to my Jesse the Body Ventura, Zane. How are you doing today?
I'm well. So,
I know you were expecting a lot more flowery intro right there.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. And you're on your phone. You're on your phone as
yes.
an unprofessional man.
Exactly.
So
it would turn out. Let me explain.
Okay, so you're like, oh, screw you. You didn't give me a nice intro.
Well, I've got this thing going on over here. No, I'm just kidding. 45 seconds ago.
You got a side podcast? Is that what you got going on? You got some side podcasting going on?
No, I'm not gonna use this time of my prime talking time to talk about extra talented wrestling podcast.
Ouch, fuck you.
Yeah, segues, motherfucker. Just found out now at probably about 1 minute, my sister is pregnant, and I am going to be an uncle.
Oh,
so that's the thing that I just found out about.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
I'm gonna whoop that motherfucker's ass.
Okay.
Wait till I see her boyfriend.
Oh, okay. So this was not a, hey, we've been trying for a while.
This is, hey man, I just turned 21, bro. I just bought a car.
Oh, this is a Gastonia pregnancy?
Yeah, I
just
found out they're moving out together like last week.
Oh.
So, and then he just bought his very first car. So that's where we are in things of gonna move out to my first place, bought my first car, knocked up your sister.
Okay, this is not a happy.
Oh no, I'm happy.
Okay.
Uncle Riley, Uncle Zane's gonna be doing just fine.
You're happy because you're on the record.
I don't beat a motherfucker's
You're happy
ass,
because you're on the record. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, off mic.
I don't need to start taking hard stances on this podcast about how I feel about my sister getting preggers.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm also very glad to have a guest here today.
What?
Comedian Shaine Laine. Shaine, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You got Shaine and Zane.
Yep. Oh. Shaine and Zane connection. Here we are.
Alrighty. Is your sister pregnant as well?
She is 16, so she better not be.
So
no, same boat.
Yeah.
Same boat.
No, I better not see her on 16 and pregnant. No.
18 is successful.
Wait till you're 18.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yes.
Get rich, have a kid, fuck it, whatever at that point.
Now, Shaine, you're very new to stand-up, but you were saying that you've been comedically writing for a while.
I'm like a 6-month-old baby when it comes to performing stand-up. Mm-hmm. So I just crawl around on the floor a lot. Mm-hmm. But
I've been set, which I think is genius.
Ah, yes. All right, but I have been writing since I was in high school. I've been doing a couple of competitions up in New York, and I'm actually waiting to hear back from NBC. So keep your fingers crossed for me.
Oh, I will, because then you can become the most famous person to be on this podcast.
Exactly.
So
yes, that's my goal.
I'm hoping for you to be...
Well, until we tell you about how The Rock has come through on those movie ideas we had that time.
Yeah, that was.
But until then, it's all you.
Were you part of Fighting with My Family?
So we just did a podcast on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
exactly. We just did it. That was what ran a little bit long. Shaine,
gotcha.
being the professional person that he is, as he showed up on time, not on time, but early.
Mm-hmm.
Showed up early and was like, "Hey, I'm ready here to podcast."
Time is late.
That's right.
See, so NBC, if you're listening,
yes, NBC, I'm here.
NBC, show up early and on time. So. And that's why we had to wrap up last so it was an awesome show. Check it out.
If you want to know why we took a quick little break there in the last episode, well, it was because
Shaine showed up.
Someone was super professional.
Somebody was super professional trying to, perform for the job. It's a saying I always say. Why am I forgetting the saying I always say? Treat it like a job and it will become a job.
Yes, there it is.
That's the line that I always say.
I've always wanted to work in an office with X-Men comic posters.
Well,
that's all I need.
Yeah, do you need to take a minute?
Yeah,
the Manning cave. It is sensory overload in here.
Because Jake does work in an office that is covered in X-Men things, and he's miserable.
Oh,
I'm not miserable anymore. Are you talking about? That's the old Jake.
The old Jake.
That's the old Jake.
That's episode 1 through about 55.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at episode 74, Jake.
Yes, this is.
We've developed.
I have no clue what episode we're on, by the way.
Almost 80. I think we're like 70. Is it 77, 78, something like that? Whatever. It's been a long time. And we're still looking for people to listen. But what I want to listen to right now is, Shaine, we talked a little bit about your exposure to professional wrestling.
Yeah.
I want you to kind of tell everybody, the listening audience, what is your exposure to professional wrestling?
Like a 1%. Like I barely know what's happening here.
Great.
1% in the way that you have the richest knowledge
No.
of wrestling.
Okay, then I guess I'm the 99%.
9%.
Let's switch it.
The
I have no idea.
99% of the 99% of the 99%.
Exactly. Well, I'm from Florida, and my friend Justin Michaels, he does I think it's emceeing for professional wrestling.
Okay.
I guess its persona is the voice, because he has like this deep ass voice.
Okay.
And so that's about as much as I know from what he posts on Facebook. I'm like, oh, yeah, they threw him. Okay. There it is.
He got thrown.
So you have a friend on Facebook that does professional
Well, I
wrestling
know
as
him
a ring
in
announcer.
real life. It's not like this weird.
Okay, so you have a real life friend,
Yes.
and you only see his Facebook page
Yes.
and the things that he does as a ring announcer in
Yes.
pro wrestling, and that is the only exposure you have to pro
I have
wrestling.
never been to his show, but he has never been to mine. So I guess we're all
So
right.
balls in your court, Justin.
So not only are you super professional and you show up early, you're also super qualified for this podcast. 'cause
Absolutely.
'cause I am looking for somebody who is a non-wrestling fan, and you're about as close as we can get.
Yes, if you need someone who doesn't know what's going on, that is me.
Oh, but there's a lot going on this pay-per-view, and we're going to get to that in a second, but I want to mention this before we have a discussion, because Shaine, as I was saying before off mic, we do this thing for our listeners where we give you a free t-shirt if you leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher, and we say your name on the podcast until somebody dethrones you. And then you're no longer the most recent review, but right now we still have T-Bone Duffy on iTunes. You were still at the top of the poll. I mailed out your t-shirt not too long ago. I hope you're enjoying the How Did This Get Booked t-shirt. And also, too, on Stitcher, _Ray_. They are sitting at the top of the poll right now. They should have their free t-shirts. And if you want a free t-shirt, and if you want your name mentioned on this podcast, and I don't care if you, like, your username is a business. We had John Moses Photography.
Yes, please.
If you want an advertisement, make that your iTunes sign-in name. Leave a review. You'll get free advertisement and a free t-shirt. And all you have to do is just leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher, and then DM me all your details about your shirt size and your mailing address. I am very available in my DMs. Just ask anybody internationally. But let's get into the international promotion of WCW.
WCW.
And the show that we are discussing today is Slamboree 2000. And some of the particulars on the show is the show happened on May 7th in the year of our Lord 2000 at Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. Attendance for the show was 7,165 people. The promotional materials, the poster for this event had a Buff Bagwell shot that looks like his Gigolo headshot.
As it should.
As it should.
As all good things have.
Absolutely. And the buy rate for this pay-per-view was a 0.14, which equates to about 60,000
Oh, shit.
estimated buys. Which
More people were at WrestleMania.
Which a lot of people equate that like, oh, that's David Arquette's fault, who was involved in the main event. But let me remind you that 2 months prior, at Uncensored 2000, the live attendance was 5,000, and the buy rate for that show was a 0.13, with a buys of only 60,000, and they had Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair wrestling in the main event. You also had Sting and Lex Luger taking on each other, and Sid versus Jeff Jarrett, and Dustin Rhodes versus Terry Funk in a bull rope match. So we can put as much blame on David Arquette as possible, but let's just look at this other card that did worse in 2000, 2 months prior.
I still think David Arquette is best WCW heavyweight champion of all time.
We will probably make that argument very soon. But some other particulars to let you know about the show is this, I believe, is the second pay-per-view after the WCW reboot of Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff. The first pay-per-view after the reboot was Spring Stampede, which had 12,356 people in attendance.
Oh, man.
So this is there was quite a bit of interest after the reboot, and this is where we kind of normalize a little bit.
You realize they fucked up.
So the show starts off, which is what we started off with, Shaine, is a recap of WCW Thunder. And we got to see a recap of the laziest battle royal that I've ever seen before in my entire life.
So many people in just dress clothes.
Yeah. That was the whole thing of the Millionaires Club. They're the baby faces, and they're all wrestling in street clothes.
Were they?
They're supposed to be the baby faces. I remember when the reboot happened, they tried to position them as kind of the heels, like we're supposed to get behind the new blood. But then, like, after a few weeks, like, people were like, nah, we still want to cheer for Hogan, surprisingly. Like, this was a weird time. I remember watching the reboot on Monday Night Nitro and just being like, oh, this is cool. And then, like Awesome showed up. I'm like, oh, this is nuts. All the surprises is crazy. And then, like, a few weeks later, I'm like, why is the babyfaces called the Millionaires Club? Yeah. Why are they being booked as babyfaces? Yeah. I want to kind of cheer for the New Blood group. And I kind of want to see the New Blood guys wrestle each other and then have the guys who were the Millionaires Club, like,
just kind of fuck off
or intermingle or kind of put these guys over or show up sporadically or whatever. Like, very confusing. It's a very confusing time.
Which is the MO for WCW at the time.
And I can only imagine how Shaine felt.
I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, oh, it's a giant mosh pit on the stage. It's like if, someone offered to split the bill at the Last Supper and then everyone just started fighting. That's how I equated it to, because I had no idea what was happening.
And much like the Last Supper, the Macho Man Randy Savage just miraculously appeared.
Yes, there it is.
Well, Jesus. It took 3 days, but he got there.
Oh, there it is.
3 days later, he showed up.
And he showed up with frankincense and myrrh.
Oh, so. Of course. Yeah. I was 5 years old when this show aired. I was 5.
That's another episode of How This Get Booked, guys. I'm going to hang myself.
Well, that's
5.5.
No, thank you. Oh, okay, it makes me feel a lot better.
Good. That's my goal.
And I thought wrestling in a title match with a guy who was 26 this past weekend, who, when I started wrestling for the particular promotion that I was wrestling for in the main event, he wasn't even old enough to drive to the show.
I am still younger than that guy. He's a good 2 years older.
Oh,
than me.
Thank you. I felt like that was bad enough, but you've made it
even worse. Want to bring it.
You believe that guy is a 90s kid.
Yes. I did chuckle when they said that this pay-per-view was presented by Western Union, the fastest way to get cash.
Is that even a business anymore?
Still tracks. Yeah.
Somewhat. I see nothing of it anymore.
Basically all they do is do money orders.
I cannot wait when PayPal presents WWE Fastlane or Venmo presents the Elimination Chamber.
Square.
The fastest way to get cash.
Yeah, I saw they did a breakaway or something during the show, and it was like, you can mail it here. I'm like, mail what?
The fuck
Excuse me?
Mail your receipt to get a free pennant.
Not even money, just mail the receipt. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, like mail order free goods.
Well, now I guess we know why they didn't stay in business.
Well, it was cutting edge at the time.
Yeah.
True.
But speaking of things that were cutting edge, match number 1.
Well, that's arguable.
Hold your tongue, sir. Because match number 1 consists of Chris Candido with Tammy Lynn Sitch taking on the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea with Paisley. Shaine, what are your thoughts on match number 1?
Well, 1, they said something. It was like, wham, bam, thank you, Tam. Is that like his... What, his
Tammy would have been the blonde girl.
Tammy would have been the blonde girl.
Okay, gotcha.
That was camming out with Chris Candido.
Gotcha. Well, I heard my family say that as a kid, and now it makes so much sense that they have watched wrestling. Yeah. So I guess I'm more into wrestling than I thought I was because my family had watched it. But it was just an introduction. I was like, all right, so, we're throwing people. We're doing these things. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. There are women. Okay, I see that. And then they just stay on the sideline. At least until
real
the
good
end.
Use of women. Yeah. The longer this goes, the better they treat women.
Literally, my first thought, I was like, wow, they actually gave them names. I'm so proud. That's all I was like, great.
Set of boobs number 1. Set of boobs number 2. Tammy, and then was Paisley Charmel?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was, I think she's on one of our chairs, actually. But anyway. Are you sitting on her face?
No.
I wish.
You're sitting on
I am.
You're...
Yeah,
I'm sitting on her face.
You're sitting on Paisley's face.
Finally.
Right now, so. Go ahead. Is this all you got?
No, finally. It's about time.
He just wanted to announce that he was sitting on the face.
Okay, well,
you got me jokes. That's one
I have to gush over Chris Candido. I thought he was fantastic.
Most amazing.
Unbelievable.
However, ungush on the artist.
Oh.
Name the artist dressed as Michael Jackson.
No, here's the thing.
The only thing that checked was her name was Paisley. He lived in Paisley Park.
Oh, okay.
Prince did.
Yeah.
Prince lived in Paisley Park.
Okay, I was going to say.
Artist.
The
Prince.
artist.
He
Yeah.
played Michael Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, you got me confused with the Michael Jackson thing, and I was trying to work in a Leaving Neverland joke, and I couldn't. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't shoot horror in it yet. So, because I still want to listen to Thriller. That's why I haven't listened. I haven't seen. That's why I haven't seen the Michael Jackson documentary.
You have some weird Schrodinger's cat idea of how to deal with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, just not watch that documentary.
If I don't watch this documentary, I can never really know the truth. I can still listen to Thriller.
There you go.
The cat is still alive in the box, but I don't open the box.
Exactly. So I can't tell you how much Thriller and the Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em and the Weird Al Yankovic cassette tapes mean to me in my childhood. So, and I don't want to ruin it. Okay.
Can't ruin something good.
Can't ruin something good. But what you could not ruin was Chris Candido's talent, even though the artist sure as fuck
He tried his goddamnedest.
And I always heard things about Prince Ikea not being all that great. And I was like, no, Prince Ikea was good.
I remember him being good.
Yeah, I remember him being good too. But then I see this, I'm like, oh, no, he was not.
I thought he was like drugged up in this.
He did look kind of like, I've never seen this before, but he just looked like, oh.
He was so vacant in the face.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, well, there did some physical for fucking the people at home. Just had this dumbfounded look on his face most of the time. Mm-hmm. But I remember Ikea being really good.
Yeah, I remember him too. But like, he
really was not.
There were obvious mistakes in there, and we were sitting next to somebody who's a pro wrestling neophyte. So, what did you recognize that things were falling apart, or what were you thinking?
Oh no, I thought like they had planned everything to a T, and I was just like, oh wow, this is actually really well written. Good for them.
Okay,
so I had no idea that things were falling apart.
That's because Chris Candido's so fucking good.
Okay, all right. I wanted to clarify because that's what your role is going to be.
Good, excellent, yeah.
Because that's exactly what we want you to.
Excellent.
Because we as performers, we get in our head a little too much, like, oh, we messed this up, and this didn't come off as good. When really, the common fan doesn't care. Now, granted, I think most of the fans that are fans they saw all these things.
like the finish of this whole thing.
Like people that would watch enough wrestling that they would buy a pay-per-view. They probably recognize that something was not right, but the common fan or the common person didn't know.
I had no idea, and I was like, wow, if we're starting here, where can we go next? Like that's exactly.
You find out quick.
I was like, oh god, okay.
But yeah, it was going well. And then all of a sudden, it just got off the rails real fast. And then it reminds me of a conversation, not that I had with Chris Candido, but a conversation they had in my presence, where he was talking about his matches. And he goes, I fuck something up every match. And I go, yeah, this would be one of those ones that would fall in that.
Nailed it. You're right.
Yeah, look, this would be one where something got fucked up. And this would be one of your matches. So, for sure.
That checks.
And then I do like that it is it's a very dated reference, but also too it's dated for even its time of the year 2000.
So was it dated in 2000 or was it like
when Scott Hudson was saying that Tammy was pulling an old Tanya Harding, like depending on her foot? Now I believe if I'm not mistaken that happened in
the 80s, right?
No. How did you even begin to know?
I don't know. I saw, what was it? I Tonya, and they look like the 80s, so I was like, there we go. It's the 80s.
So many things that happened before 95 was the 80s, so.
She's like, the Tanya Harding thing. That happened in 1979, right?
It was in the 50s.
It went like the Beatles, and then Tanya Harding, and then the
oil
brothers.
embargo, Carter,
when was the potato famine? I need to know that to know how to answer this question.
Was Tanya Harding at the same time as Nixon? Like, what was going on there? Did Lyndon B. Johnson sanction her for the Olympics?
Then we look it up, and it is like 89.
89.
Shit.
I win.
I think it was 92, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was early 90.
Yeah, it was like 92, 93. Maybe 94.
But for intents and purposes, it was fucking 89.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just call it 88.
Yeah.
Why not? Split the difference.
I said 87.
So...
Yeah. the IOK powerbomb on Chris Candido, which was what I like to call the Chris Candido powerbombing himself. Yeah, all the things. Also, too, I should point out there was a sign in the crowd that said, "Bring back April Hunter."
Yeah, look at that.
I don't know when else we're going to discuss that. I think I should just throw that out there right here in the middle of this podcast, because why not? Then they had the chair shot and perfect finish, perfectly fine, and they could have just taken it home right there. But then IOK kicks out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he counts 3. I thought he just didn't kick out, and they were like, "But we're not done." I thought he was supposed to, or maybe he accidentally.
Right there, like it was it was neck and neck, and I think they just gave it to him.
Maybe he did kick out. I don't know.
I think he did kick out because I watch it back.
Because they counted 3.
He definitely.
For sure.
It's one of those things where you kind of like, as a performer, you try and pull it right to the edge.
Last second.
And I don't like leaving the referee hanging so much because I know it's like Panic City for them.
Yeah.
So like, and it goes, but there is a second there where you can kind of squeeze into the rhythm, because that's what you want to do is as a performer, you want the refs' counts to be consistent. That's all I ever ask the ref. And but hey, we're gonna do some false finishes. Just keep your count consistent, and I'll get that hole because you want that 1, 2, and then you kick out. You want for that one breath and before the exhale happens to sneak the kick out in.
Yeah, I started noticing that. I'm like, oh no, they ain't done.
Yeah. Nope. So like that's always tell referees, as long as you keep your count consistent, I won't screw you over. And I did not have that conversation. No. But at the same time too, like I don't know why if Candido was just gonna go over, why couldn't he just go over with the chair shot finish?
Yeah, he had to have fucked up to kick out. Maybe he was like, I'm gonna kick out after 3, so I still look strong. But the ref was like, oh, he kicked out.
Or he just forgot that was the finish.
Or maybe, but how do you forget that a simple chair is the finish when the next thing that happens is fucking tombstone or pile driver and fucking diving headbutt?
I think I kind of feel like that was like a save. Like, okay, I got to finish him somehow. You were supposed to stay down. He doesn't know what to do. Okay, he knows how to take a pile driver and just lie there for this headbutt.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was the finish, and he just kicked out of instinct, and he wasn't supposed to.
Well, and then also, like, Tammy Sitch just hops up in the ring, so of course that had to have been the finish, right?
I don't know. This is weird. It should just end with a chair shot. It was perfect. It was fine. It was great. It came off great. I think he kicked out, and he's like, oh, I'm supposed to kick out. But, brother, if I know what the finish is, and I know I can lie there a little longer, I'm staying.
Hey, it's hard to confuse getting hit with a chair for any other thing.
Yeah.
So...
But that's okay. Paisley had one of the worst ball shots of all time, at least at this point on the show.
Yeah, because there's a million ball shots on the show. So many testicular issues came from Slamboree 2000.
So many. Like, I remember in grade school, them pulling aside all the boys and telling us, like, hey, don't be kicking each other in the balls. What? That was a conversation. You know how, like, you split the boys and the girls up? Like
sex ed?
Yeah.
Your sex ed's consisted of, hey, don't hit each other in the balls.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
now watch this video.
Then all the boys were like, we're not hitting each other in the balls. It's all the girls running around hitting us in the balls. So we were like, if you're gonna come to us, you better go to them.
Go to those bitches.
Yeah, pretty much, because they're the ones running around kicking us on the balls on the playground. I remember all of us.
What kind of school did you go to?
The one on the other side of the tracks.
Oh, yes, man. You guys had like a girls' gang that was out to get you all.
Yeah. They would kick. I vividly remember Jackie Du Bois like kicking me in the shins.
Full name.
Fucking hard named her.
You hear that, Jackie?
Yeah, we're calling you out, Jackie.
She just kicked me in the shins and just laughing. And I knew I couldn't hit a woman. She's like, you can't hit a woman. You can't hit a woman. I can hit you as much as I want. Oof. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Fuck you, Jackie. We're all coming for you. We're gunning on you, son.
That was 3rd grade for me.
You're done.
So, but I had so much further to go, much like we have so much further to go in this pay-per-view. Nice segue right there, right, guys?
Oh. Beautiful.
Just as beautiful as...
Oh, goddamn. You can't segue a segue.
What do you mean? I can't segue a segue. I can do it.
He just did.
Speaking of segues.
No one would have noticed.
I mean, I'm just going to roll along on the segue. Just going to roll along to Terry Funk.
Oh, highlight of the fucking show.
The highlight reel of him just getting his ass whooped. Like, just
Terry
amazing.
Funk is a goddamn national treasure.
Shaine, when you saw Terry Funk.
Okay, which one's that?
The white one.
There's a million.
So this is the segment where they're fighting in the back.
Fighting in the back.
Okay, yes.
And then there's
The white dude.
The old white man that wasn't in the catcher's getup.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Terry Funk?
He kind of seems slow. But like
Are you a little bit touched?
like I don't know. Just he said it was a handicap battle, and I don't know what that means.
Okay.
So
wait a minute.
So I literally thought was like, are we fighting like handicapped people?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. So that's what you thought the whole time, and then you saw Ralphus, and you're like, oh no.
You're totally right. You're like, oh no, 100% makes sense.
No, I did, especially with the masked sidekick or something. I'm like, are they okay? Like, is this allowed? I didn't realize
what the shit was going on when I was 5 years old in the world.
I'm like, no wonder this was why.
Because everything's so crazy. Because everything's so crazy on this pay-per-view. Ball shots left and right, and they're saying all kinds of things. Exactly. Like, oh, this is a handicap fight because one of these guys is mentally handicapped.
That's literally what I thought. I'm like,
that is amazing. So now I don't even want to correct you because this is such a better concept.
Well, good. Let me.
No, it wouldn't last. It would not work today because times they are changing. But the idea that that is amazing.
So what does it actually mean? It's like a handicap?
It's a 2-on-1 situation.
Oh, why?
You are at a handicap to the amount of people on the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yours is way cooler. And I guess if you see Terry Funk out of context and the way in which Terry Funk acts, you could see that he could have some issues.
Yes, which is why I was like, oh.
And then when you see Ralphus, it only makes more sense.
But then you're like, what's Norman Smiley doing?
I was like, why?
Well, true heel, just beating the shit out of a mentally handicapped person.
Exactly. I was like, how dare they make the black guy beat up the handicapped person? Because that's just awful.
So wait a second. Hold on. Okay.
See what my thought process was.
So
I was.
You thought it was weird, but you took it as a thing that they had a match in which handicapped people fought.
Yes, I was like, good for them.
But when it was a black man that was doing the beating, then it became fucked up.
No, I didn't say that. I was just like, of course they do.
Okay.
Like I was just like, it's the it's 2000, so I'm like, all right, they're still learning, so whatever. And then it just. It was just a lot. I was trying to figure it out. I didn't realize you could fight in the back. I was like, is this even allowed? I thought it was all just, a big promo that they had already filmed. And I was like, okay, are we gonna introduce these people? What's going on? So that's exactly my thought process that was happening.
God, that is so cool. God damn, that's rad. Now the way you've explained it to me feels far more accurate. I mean, do we even talk about it now? Like, can we?
Can we?
Like, not even like, can we get off of this tangent and talk about and further the podcast? But like, are we allowed to talk about it now that we've kind of put it out there like this?
Just forget everything. It's
fine. Great match. Let's go
Restart.
on.
No. Here's the fourth segue.
Go. The real segue was us talking about handicap fighting. God damn, that's cool. This match was insanely great.
Well, Terry Funk almost became handicapped of a different kind when he went to body slam Norman and his leg buckled.
Just gave up.
And then Norman almost was handicapped as well in a different way.
Yeah. Oh, they're just beating the shit out of each other. In true, some of them are a little weak but quick and dangerous or whatever. Not really dangerous, but just kind of haphazardly.
You mean when Terry Funk was throwing chairs over his head and hitting Ralphus behind him?
Well, he was wearing full-on catcher's gear.
But still, the ability to Terry Funk to just reverse granny-style chairs at Ralphus, who is on a mound of fake turf.
So, did this happen at a baseball stadium?
No, they said that was part of the soccer field.
Oh, okay, so indoor soccer. Okay.
And they had indoor soccer. And then Ralphus just got up in there.
Just, hey, Ralphus, hop up there. Or, hey, catcher. Which is also one thing. They're in Kansas City, but then, they had the bad guy wearing Kansas City Royals gear. That was the biggest thing. I was like, I don't buy this at all. That was my tension with this match.
But Norman, like, he got the whole dance after.
Yeah, I do.
Is he really heel?
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like Funk's supposed to be heel. I don't think they'd even know.
No,
I don't think they even know.
This was just super fun to me. I like the entire match.
But you know what? I'll say it was fun. It was entertaining.
I mean, it has to be. There's two crippled people fighting.
But I just kept thinking about, because Norman Smiley, far better performer and far better wrestler than he'll ever get credit for.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking about, what if Norman Smiley, who's in his prime right here, was wrestling a Terry Funk in his prime?
Oh, wow. Like, you mean, like...
I'm talking about Terry Funk versus Jumbo Tsuruta.
like, 80s Japan?
Yeah. Like him wrestling a Norman
Smiley.
Smiley.
70s, 80s, about the time that Tanya Harding shit went down?
Yeah, about the same time
Yeah.
as the Tanya Harding thing. Like, Tanya Harding era Terry Funk versus Norman Smiley now.
Yeah.
Like, would be amazing.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking about, like...
Which
wow.
I still think this was fucking amazing.
Oh, this is most certainly amazing as well. The ladder axe handle off the second rope and it landing right on Terry's head.
Yeah.
Should have
killed that man.
At least put a gash in his head. I did like, and there's not a lot of things that I like about him, but Mark Madden had a line where he said that Terry Funk was Grandpa Walden possessed by Satan. Gotta give some light. That is a good line. And then, of course, Ralphus's bare ass.
Man, so did you guys notice Ralphus's belly button and
Let's talk about
lack thereof?
I was about to say, I don't think that was a belly button. I thought it was just like a crescent moon roll. Like...
He has a belly button like they draw on fat cartoons.
I can't remember which commentator said it, and I hope it's not Mark Madden, so I don't want to
double like him.
I don't want to double like him, but they said that Ralphus doesn't have an innie or an outie, he has a sideways. That was that's a good one. I'll give him that
fucking belly button. Like, he looked like he had a C-section just right there, though.
Honestly, that's what distracted me from everything else. I was like, but what is it?
I think I'd rather seen his ass crack. That belly button stayed with me.
Well, and apparently, like, standards and practices, it was, like, big on WCW at the time. Like, they couldn't do certain things, but they got away with a lot of stuff. And I know, like, obviously, like, because WWF was doing all kinds of showing, like, women's almost bare breasts and a lot of sexuality and blood and everything else, where WCW was much more constrictive. And obviously, the fact that you just had Ralphus's butt crack out.
And that might not even have been planned. That might have just been a Terry Funk thing.
Oh, yeah. Terry Funk would definitely do something like that. And Ralphus almost died with his ass out.
Yeah.
Because when he over the top rope, he was like almost like spiked himself, and all that weight would have come crashing down his
that belly
neck.
button just would have came right behind him.
Well, I think it was his belly button that saved him. Yeah. His belly button was a little got caught on the top rope, and he was still teetering on that. And that's the thing that kept him hanging on without preventing him spiking himself. Because he sure didn't put his hands down.
That was the hinge that saved that man's life.
But also, it's been a while since I've seen Norman Smiley, and it's been a long time since I've seen him do the big wiggle.
Yeah.
And I just saw him do the big wiggle, and I was like, man, I bet Mrs. Smiley is very happy. Because he was... Those hips do not lie.
I was about to say, they do not lie.
Do not lie, my friend.
What do you think she wrote that song about? It was her love for Norman Smiley.
In the 87.
It's about the way she loved him in 87, 64, whatever time.
Whatever time that is.
What did you think about all these things?
See, I like I said, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, oh, you can, like...
You're waiting for a match to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm waiting for someone to stop these two crippled people from fighting each other.
I'm still trying to figure out everything, and you guys are saying like all these moves, and I'm like, I think he did that.
That sounds like a move.
Mm-hmm. And then I remember hearing the wiggle thing. I'm like, yeah.
I remember that.
The big wiggle.
I remember that.
All right, if we got nothing else about this match, we'll move on to a limo pulling up with David Arquette.
So I had no idea he was a wrestler, like,
that's arguable.
At any point in time. As soon as I saw him, I was like, is that like David Arquette, like Courtney Cox's cat? And I was just like, oh, it is. And I was very surprised he was a wrestler.
He is now. It's so odd that you just now discovered him. And he's currently wrestling right now.
He just made a resurgence.
No,
not still. He was.
Oh.
This happens, and then he goes away.
Scream.
Forever,
yes. Scream
has
happens.
probably already happened by now.
Yeah, Scream's already happened.
Yeah.
And he
Ready to Rumble happened. Because that's the point of them being there.
that's the point. And then everybody hated him
Yep.
for
Except
years.
for me.
Yeah, except for me as well. And now he has come back to wrestling, and I'm
Okay.
actually on.
With like last year. Or
Yeah, with last year,
What?
I was just on a wrestling show with him in November, and I will be on a wrestling show with him in April.
That's amazing.
You can tell me we talked about this on that.
Yes.
He's one of the nicest human beings
He seems like
ever.
And here's another thing about him. I guess he took the money that he made off professional wrestling for appearing on these wrestling shows, and he gave that money to wrestlers' families whose
Fell into
husband,
hard times.
fell in hard times or passed away, and he
Oh,
gave it to the
wow.
families of wrestlers who passed on. And he, was very appreciative. Was very nice. And part of the reason he has come back to wrestling, and he's worked very hard on it. He's like, he trains a lot for it, and he cuts a lot of promos, which all these promoters really appreciate. Somebody who is a professional actor getting on a camera and talking and saying that they want to be saying, and obviously it looks far better than a pro wrestler like me trying to cut a promo, but he's fantastic at it and cutting a promo to promote events so people can show up. And he's mostly, doing a lot of wrestling now and really taking it very seriously because he wants the wrestling community to like him.
I like him even more now.
That's the whole reason he does. That's the whole reason he's doing it. I just want people to like me. I felt like a lot of people hated me for winning the belt because I didn't want to win the belt. He just wants to do wrestling now so he can do good and so people will like him.
Okay.
And it's like he doesn't even want, like, he goes, I don't want, it's not even saying like, I want the wrestling fans to respect me. He goes, I just want them to like me. And you kind of got to get behind me, that guy like that.
Yeah.
And also too, he was in Scream.
Yeah.
Like,
Doofy.
his wife, also too, like his wife, and they brought it up in this particular promo to bring it all back around, just signed for $1 million an episode.
Yeah.
And, as a wrestling heel, for you to call him Mr. Cox.
Yeah.
Like that's a good little dig right there. And also too, WCW has a vested interest in Ready to Rumble, so why not promote him as such? But I do like where he's like, they talk about his wife having money, and he goes like, I got my own money.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, but for now,
Arguable. Debatable.
A little while later, a little difference. But then he talked about how scared he was, but then he said, don't let the smile fool you. And I was like, that's weird. Why couldn't he just be a scared actor?
Yeah.
Like all the promos, he's like, I'm scared, but I got a good outfit, or I'm scared, but I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Just be a scared actor. I'm like, I don't know how this happened. It's just real weird. I'm trying to follow the plan with Paige and do everything, but like, yeah, there's real weird. And I think Russo probably wanted it, like, I want to make it look like kind of set seeds that he's like not on the up and the up. Like, why don't you just
let him be and be. Let it be natural.
let it be natural that he is scared. But him, I think that's probably like a Russo thing, like, oh, but you're smiling, so people think like, oh, maybe something's might happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, just let him be scared. Let him be scared. So that is weird. But probably not as weird as match number 3. Sean Stasiak, the Perfect One, taking on Kurt Hennig, formerly known as Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
Thoughts on this match?
I don't know. It was just all like not coming together, but I was just like, it's kind of all very repetitive. Like,
Okay.
just for being 3 hours long,
Okay.
and probably longer on pay-per-view when it was going. So I was just like, okay, they're kind of doing the same thing. Everyone hates each other. I get that. We're all fighting. I get this. And then it was just like, I was watching this one, and when you had mentioned earlier, like something was off, I felt like something was off, and I have no idea what was going on.
Okay.
Like, I think there was a time he tried to put a table onto the match, and it got like caught on the skirt of the stage.
Oh, that'd be like Hulk Hogan later.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's what that was.
Yeah,
but,
this is the Kurt Hennig one we're going to talk about. This is the one, funny story about this one.
gotcha.
As we know later, there is a spot where somebody goes through the ramp area.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of WCW shows at this time where they have ramps, but they have a ramp because somebody's going to take a bump through it later. And I've found this from the What Happened When podcast, and I listened to the story. Tony Schiavone was talking about how Eric Bischoff had this whole meeting, like that nobody is allowed to bump on the ramps between this area and this area. And you can clearly see where the tape is laid down on the ramp. And you could see it like on the far end, like right at the beginning of the entranceway, and then you can see there's a little tape area right by the ring. And Chris Candido takes a backdrop bump on the area that's on the side closest to the ring, away from the tape. Now, past that is an area that will fall and collapse if you land on it very hard, and somebody's supposed to take a bump on it later on. And so Eric Bischoff's like, make sure nobody takes bump on it. I know you guys do all kinds of things without okay.
I know you see this ramp and you feel that you have to hit it.
And you feel that you have to hit it, but do not take a bump right here or do any of that stuff past this line. Kurt Hennig, being the ribber that he is, takes Shawn Stasiak and then picks him up as if he's about ready to body slam him just past the tape. And all of a sudden he goes, oh, my back, it hurts. Just because he knows Eric Bischoff is watching and he's just doing it to fuck with
Freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, just to freak him the fuck out.
Nice.
It's like, I'm not touching you.
Yeah,
I'm not touching you.
And that's Kurt Hennig. And of course, Kurt Hennig puts over Shawn Stasiak with his own move.
Yep.
Kurt Hennig super over as a babyface. Would have,
as it should be. He's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have loved to seen him wrestle for a world
title.
title.
How far past this does he no longer stay with us?
I think 3 more years. I think he passed away in 2003,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken. Keep in mind he's gonna go.
A lot of dead people on this show.
Yeah, like Chris Candido, no longer with us.
Oh.
Ralphus might not be.
If Ralphus survives over everybody on the show.
Yeah. Oh man, Ralphus is the last one.
Yeah.
Damn, everybody protect Terry Funk if you see him.
Well, I mean, Ralphus has got that sideways button. It kind of protects him from falling.
Maybe that's the secret to life, is a sideways belly button.
That belly button is actually what his brother was supposed to be, but it just stays with him forever. Now he uses it for stem cells and regeneration, like a Lazarus pit on his belly.
All right. If we don't have anything more about match number 3, you can move on to...
I don't like Steve Stasiak, and I like...
I don't like... Yeah.
The match, good for Mr. Hennig.
Yeah.
Or good for Mr. Perfect.
Totally agree. Let's move on to match number 4. And speaking of stem cells, it consists of Scott Steiner
Speaking of just eating straight babies.
Yeah. Taking on Hugh Morris, who says, nah, I'm not Hugh Morris no more. I'm going to go by my real name, Huge Erection.
Of the famous Rection family.
The Rection family. Thoughts on this match?
Huge Edgar Rection.
That's what the E.
Oh, that's what Edgar.
Yeah, Edgar.
Huge Edgar Rection.
Yeah. I don't know what you got. What were you aiming for?
Well, it makes sense.
What did you think Huge Erection meant?
That makes total sense because I think somebody was talking about how they refer to their penis as Edgar.
Was his penis joke?
Oh, yeah.
J. Edgar.
But a penis joke inside of a penis joke.
Yes. Because right now, because eventually he becomes Major Erection, right?
New team's captain.
I thought
he is
but
captain
in the long
right
run,
now.
He's captain now.
Yes.
In the long run, he becomes
Major Erection.
Yeah,
and it's funny because you see the other members of the MIA out there. You had Chavo Guerrero, Lash LaRue, and Van Hammer. Thank you, Van Hammer. Now they also had names as well.
Wiener names.
Yeah, they were Lieutenant Loco.
Oh. Who was that one?
No, I should think about it. It's true. I forget. I think Lieutenant Loco was Chavo, but I was going to say maybe it was that Lash. I can't remember what Lash was. And they named Van Hammer Private Stash because he was always hiding his shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like his weed, his drugs, everything like that. And that was what it is. And Van Hammer got legitimately pissed because he's like, I've been in WCW longer than all of you. I should be the Major. I should be General. And he goes, General Stash? And he goes, yeah, I should be a higher rank of you. And they're like, it's just a stupid name.
This shit's not real.
He goes, why? He goes, but I'm a private. That means I'd be below you guys. No, I've been in WCW. I should be Private Stash. I'm like, you do get the
joke, right?
The joke of your name is Private Stash. Like,
I get it. He's loco. He's Mexican. That makes sense. This guy, though.
But I shouldn't be a private.
Yeah.
Like, that was a legitimate argument he had.
Some real Van Hammer shit right
and
there.
I remember he was still mad when we did a shoot interview with him, and he goes, I don't know why they would call me private, man. I should have been like a major or a general. I should have been General Stash.
Good. Real good.
Mm-hmm.
Write that down.
Write that down, kids.
Fucking Lord.
Also, write down how Scott Steiner is actually alive after that roll out of the way moonsault on this one.
Where he still landed on him?
Still
First off, let's talk about these two women that came to the ring. You know, these professional women, where they're really putting females in a positive light here.
You know, Medeja and her hips don't lie, Shakira.
Holy. One of them, I was like, how does that top even stay on? That is ridiculous. How you got glued into that? Yeah. And then they kept trying to get into the match when they're like, oh, this isn't us. This isn't us. It kept pulling them back.
Yeah, and then, like, I don't know what was supposed to happen with that moonsault. Like, she was supposed to be in the way, but not in the way. And then Scott Steiner's like, am I supposed to be in the way? And then, like, he just did a moonsault.
Well, it was supposed to be, like, stop him long enough for him to get the big out of the way. But Scott Steiner was just like, I would have.
Nah.
And just kind of half rolled, like, kicked in the back of the head.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know what's going on with this one.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about this one? So this match starts a trend where we have R&B security run in, and then Booker T runs in the end.
All the run-ins.
This actually starts a run where we have 6 run-ins in a row.
Good.
Oh.
Good for business.
This is match number 1 where we have a run-in the end. So, any other thoughts about it before we move on to
That
this?
promo was the best part. Now, were the rest of... Like, they keep MIA in the crowd. Were they introduced already as wrestlers here?
They were,
Because they tried to stop them from coming in, but they were sitting in the crowd like they were fans.
They did.
They mentioned those.
Okay.
Yes, they were like they were fired or something.
Yes.
And
Okay.
now like they're fans and have to stay there. And then when they got on, they were like,
that's
we can't
why-
let fans do this. But
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, but I do like that Scott Steiner kept yelling at ringside fans.
Yeah.
So that way when he yelled at MIA and then there's such a, he doesn't care about the ringside fans and then MIA, the wrestlers, but they're also ringside fans and they just happen to jump the rail. I do like the symmetry to that a little bit. But it's all
writing.
Yeah. but this whole thing is
They were
just
going to use it anywhere. At least they used it here.
but they just were
they
setting
didn't
up
use it anywhere
Booker
else.
T to run in, who Booker T was part of MIA and he was GI Bro
Yep.
for like a week.
Before or after?
About a week.
That's the thing too. I want to say
You don't remember the timeline of...
GI Bro.
87.
Yeah.
It was about
Yeah, he was the original.
it was about the time that Gerald Ford was president.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was
thinking Hoover.
he was considered to be one of the Tuckasegee Airmen because of this.
This is true.
Jesus.
Oh.
2000, huh?
Yeah. I was 5.5.
Speaking of number 5, match number 5, Mike Awesome taking on Chris Champagne Canyon. Speaking of people that have passed on,
Both
Both?
dead.
Both of
Oh,
these men
wow.
committed suicide.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I have a really good. Well, it's not good. I have a real fucked up Mike Awesome story, but I can't tell it on here.
You had an interaction with Mike Awesome?
No, it's someone else.
Someone
Who
else.
has it? Who loathes Mike Awesome?
Oh, C.W. Anderson?
Yeah, it's C.W. Anderson.
Oh, he's made that public.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I. So he has said that he did not like Mike Awesome.
Oh yeah, I was there in the room recording it while it was happening. Yes.
Okay.
It's
Spill
on
the secrets.
It's on his old school Steve Carino with C.W. Anderson.
Maybe I should still hold it, and then I'll talk about it later. The next time Mike Awesome pops up, I'll say it then if you deem it all right.
Okay. Yeah, we could.
This is still a fucked up statement, regardless if he said he didn't like him or not.
Listen, as I've said before, I just did a whole YouTube show about people passing on because we mentioned King Kong Bundy, and I'm always like, listen, if you were an asshole in life, and people are always like, oh, well, he died, and I feel like I shouldn't talk about him because he can't defend himself, and I'm like, no, you had a whole life to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
But no, it's not in that. Like, CW was very much, fuck it, I don't care. But.
Yeah, but from what I know from the story, I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
So, but like that's my whole thing. Like I've made mistakes in my life, and I'm sure when I die, somebody will be like, well, Jake Manning did this, and then my hope is that people will come like, well, after that, he changed his behavior, and this is what he did, and that's all I can hope with all of my mistakes. That since the times of my mistakes, that I have lived my life better. That's all I can hope.
I was a huge Mike Awesome. When CW told me he hated Mike Awesome, I was like legitimately heartbroken.
Yeah,
because they were my two favorite ECW guys, and I was like, I was real drunk one night, and I was talking to CW in the dugout of a baseball stadium, and he was talking about some ECW stuff, and I was like, "Man, did you ever wrestle with Mike Awesome?" He's like, "Yeah, I fucking hated it." And I was like, "No!"
Well, that's the thing. Like Mike Awesome, like the rap on him is he never had any good matches unless it was against Masato Tanaka.
Yeah,
But this match,
it definitely was not in the.
this match is just brutal.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised both these men survived this match. Like the sick power bomb right on the neck.
Oh yeah.
It just
dropped him straight on his head.
oh, like, and Canyon was such a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I met him. I was setting up a ring and I was tightening the ropes, and I needed a wrestler to run the ropes and make sure they were good. And Canyon was just there, like watching the show. I'm like, "Can you run the ropes and make sure they're okay?" And he goes, "Bro, I didn't come here to work." It's just like, yeah, but like, there's no other wrestlers out here, and like, I'm new to set. And this was like probably the third or fourth ring I ever set up before. Leave it to Michael Bakikio, the owner of HighSpots.com, to send
Just Jake Manning.
Jake Manning by himself to set up a ring in Florida, and he's setting up a ring for the 5th time, and he has no help, and he has to set up a ring on a show that will have Brian Kendrick, CM Punk, Colt Cabana, Roderick Strong, shall I go on of names of people? Samoa Joe, and put up a ring and not really even know sure how to set it up.
Yeah.
So.
Did he do it?
Huh?
Did he run the ropes?
He ran the ropes.
Oh, good.
Because he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
So he was just helping young Jake Manning out.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
So I got nothing but good things about Chris King. So,
What you got on Mike Awesome?
Michael Bakikio did a shoot interview with him, and it's very sad to watch nowadays because he ended the interview. He goes, "Yeah, I'm probably going to go online and play video games. So if anybody knows this screen name, just look for me, man. We'll play."
Man, somebody could have saved his life.
Yeah.
You were about to say.
Well, now.
Yep.
Now I gotta.
Shane, now that it's all awkward, you want to light the room back up?
Well, I was just saying I was gonna. Like, I was super excited because I knew one of those names that you mentioned, Samoa Joe. Don't know how, but I know that.
Whoa! Time the fuck out. How do you know?
You
about
know
Samoa Joe?
Justin
I don't
Michaels and Samoa Joe.
That I was like, wait, that name sounds super familiar, and that was all it was. It's not like I have an actual memory, but it was there.
Okay, that's the only name. You're not.
That's it.
You're not
That's
talking,
it. You were listening. I'm like, nope. Aha!
Samoa Joe. That's the only
That's
name.
You know, Amazing Red.
That's
you got
it.
anything else in there like just hiding on?
You don't have an Undertaker poster in your bedroom?
Maybe I'm just lying, but I knew that name.
Low key, a huge wrestling fan. He just really wanted to be on that.
I'm just a great actor,
really
which
wanna
is
do
why I
this.
like wrestling.
Understand?
I understand.
I get it.
Get it.
Only reason I got into it.
But also, what we get is we get Kevin Nash doing a run-in
Yeah.
in Tommy Hilfiger jeans, son.
Oh, yeah. Pulled high and tight.
Oof. A big old Kevin Nash. They put over the fact that Mike Awesome is the king of the power bombs, and then you have Kevin Nash coming down, and that continues the trend of run-ins that we will get for the rest of the night.
He kind of strutted in.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Well, those knees, he had to.
Those knees, definitely not.
There was so at the beginning, like I was like both of them got in the ring, but they both went through the middle rope, and I was like, they're both so tall. Why didn't they step over the top rope? And then when he ran out, I was like, that's probably why. Only one person can step over the top rope here, and it's him.
Yep. Moving on.
Please.
Instead of one person, we have a video package that consists of 6 different people. Vince Russo, Miss Elizabeth,
Dead.
Lex Luger,
It should be.
yeah, and Buff Bagwell. Body doesn't know yet.
Depends on depends on who you ask.
Promo package of this whole convoluted storyline that Vince Russo owns Miss Elizabeth, and I think this is Miss Elizabeth's last appearance in WCW.
Which I mean, hindsight and all, probably should have kept ownership of her before Lex Luger took care of the rest of that.
That's the thing. Like, who would have taken better care of her in real life?
Yeah.
Vince Russo or Lex Luger?
Lex Luger is to be touted as the man who was the downfall of Miss Elizabeth.
Oh no.
And Miss Elizabeth was the former wife of Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, know that name.
Yeah. So
That's an acceptable name to know.
yeah. So, I mean, she's probably seen Spider-Man before.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Or a Slim Jim commercial.
Slim Jim
Yeah,
commercial.
I honestly think
you've
that's
seen
where
either
I've-
of those, yes.
Known him from is a Slim Jim commercial.
And
Like,
that's totally
probably it.
There you go. That or Spider-Man. You've seen it.
Bonesaw's ready.
Buff Bagwell taking on Lex Luger. Buff Bagwell is touted at 3.5% body fat, where Lex Luger is only a meager 4% body fat. But I think he's at 100% old man.
Yeah. So he is insane. Like, Lex Luger looked fantastic, but walked around like just a board.
Yeah. Like
just limbering around.
Just does not look good here. Liz whacking Vince Russo in the knee, and then Vince Russo not
kind of like Tanya Harding. Full fucking circle. Welcome to Circle. We've come back to.
Great.
I'm all the way down now. But yeah, they're just whacking the shit out of each other with the bat, no DQ. And then Chuck Palumbo comes out dressed as Lex Luger, because we already have a guy who's trying to be Mr. Perfect. Now we have a guy trying to be Lex Luger. So this is the third match in a row where we have a post-match run-in. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to this match hardly at all.
No. I fell asleep during one of the matches, and normally like I would go back and be like, oh, fuck, I need to get back and watch that. I didn't. Did not go back.
Oh, I don't think it was worth it.
No. And they did the whole Buff Bagwell to the Steiner recliner, and they made a big deal about that, and I thought that was almost too much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he's trying to use it as a finisher or just trying to lower or work on the back. I'm like, well, then why even fucking bring it up?
What about you, Shane? Were you the only one in this room that paid attention to this match?
No, I paid attention to some of it, and then I'm fairly confident that I just left it playing and went to go get a breakfast burrito. And then I came back and it was still going on. I'm like, well, I need hot sauce. And then I went back, and now I'm back. I'm like, all right. What's happening?
Now I gotta caramelize some onions.
Exactly.
In this
gotta make everything. And then I came back,
burrito?
they're still there. And I'm like, okay, I'll put in one earphone. And then I was like, all right, let's go. And that's what it was.
What kind of breakfast burrito do we have?
It was scrambled eggs. I made some.
You're making this burrito?
Yes,
I'm
making.
Frozen.
No.
Oh.
I am
She
making
is trying
this burrito.
She's trying.
And it still was going on. That's why I was so like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, you tried your best to go the distance.
I was like, I think I get the gist of this one. I'm gonna go, come back. Nope. They still want me to learn, but I want my burrito.
I don't wanna. I'm out.
I appreciate your commitment to the breakfast burrito and not this match.
Absolutely.
I do not fault you at all.
Now I just want a breakfast burrito so fucking bad. It is ridiculous.
Next time, if you bring me back, I will bring breakfast burritos
what are you doing
that I
week?
bake.
And you know what? They'll show up on time. If not
Yes.
early.
That's right. They'll still be warm.
Early. They will be warm.
We'll have to do your episode first. Then we can do the solo one after.
Excellent.
So that's how we'll time it next time. But speaking of timing, is this the best time to see Shane Douglas versus Ric Flair?
Is it ever?
This was a long-time feud.
Okay.
Now, Shane, you have no idea.
I know Ric Flair. Woo!
See, that's the other one.
Woo!
Okay, you know the woos.
What do you know about Rick?
Woo!
Yeah,
that's all I got.
That's all you know about Ric Flair?
That's all I know.
That's all you Ric Flair know.
Because even in the promos, like at the very beginning, I didn't even know what Ric Flair looked like. And I was like, is that Ric Flair? And then they went, woo! I'm like, that's Ric Flair. Yeah. That's literally all I knew. So I was just like, all right, sure, let's go with it.
Yeah, hell yeah, Rick.
Mm-hmm. So Ric Flair, longtime rival of Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas used to cut all these promos on Ric Flair.
The franchise.
What?
I paid attention.
What?
Oh, okay.
What happened?
So do they get?
I was just like, the franchise. Because he made it really apparent that he wanted to be called the franchise. We got to respect his wishes. The franchise.
I mean, that's his proper pronouns. Yes, is the franchise.
Cut the fucking music.
And we have to respect his wishes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
So pronouns are the and franchise.
The and franchise.
Hello, I'm Shane Douglas.
The franchise.
Are you gonna start calling yourself?
I was just about to.
Shane.
I have to now.
Shane the franchise.
Lane. Yes.
That's such a good fucking wrestling name, though.
Yes. Wow.
Shane the franchise lane.
Oh shit, that is a good name.
I have taken stunt classes. Get me on this. Let's go.
Come with us. We know where to get a ring.
Come with me, And you will see a world of pure WrestleMania.
Oh, jeez.
Writer, guys.
Hey.
Ah, there we go.
NBC, are you
NBC,
listening?
what up? SNL, that's for you.
Get at me, dog. Coming for you, Leslie.
I love her.
You too.
She's too good.
Yeah.
Just to go.
Back to wrestling.
You ain't got my pussy in your mouth. Don't say my name. Best line she's ever had.
On NBC.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing.
Go on. Welcome to our Leslie podcast.
Leslie, come back.
We've already talked about my aforementioned fantasy booking of Carter administration Terry Funk or Tanya Harding era of Terry Funk taking on Norman Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
Promo battle.
Okay.
Shane Douglas taking on Leslie Jones.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
It depends on who just cut a promo on her before franchise. Because if it's Kevin Hart, it's going to be Leslie Jones.
I love how we're talking about promo battles and we're not talking about Ric Flair.
Fuck Ric Flair.
I mean...
If I haven't said it enough on this podcast, fuck the Woo Man.
Fuck the But just...
Cuckoo Kachoo.
I mean, as far as curse words and just getting dirty and vulgar, like...
And then I feel that it ends in just, like, hardcore makeout. Like, they just get to so much sexual tension, Leslie Jones just rips him up off his feet and just starts to kiss him.
I'm gonna kiss you!
And then he just takes it. Like, just
That's
takes
exactly.
it.
You better goddamn kiss the franchise. Do you remember? Remember my name.
Fade to black, upshot, black and white, gray photo, those two. Heart comes up, together forever, Finn.
It's like an I Love Lucy promo.
Exactly
There it
like
is.
that. Oh, man.
Oh, that whole rant was far more
That's
entertaining
way
than this
better
match.
than anything in this
And this
goddamn-
match was years in the making.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And Ric Flair's in street clothes.
And it happens in a minute and a half.
Yeah, basically. But I appreciate it was very short. And
Which is what I appreciate about the match.
And low blows are legal was a question that I put in my notes because there's
Finally.
there's a shitload of low blows. So okay, all right, and then we get our fourth run in on a match, and this is where we get to see a man underneath a Sting mask who everybody assumes is Vince Russo. But
Now, was he in a Sting mask doing this multiple times before?
He did it a time or two before.
Okay.
I definitely know that was a thing. And I think he even did it even in TNA, too. It's a staple of Vince Russo, is being underneath a Sting mask, wearing a New York, I Love New York t-shirt. And then I like how Mark Madden's like, oh, he smashed a miniature Statue of Liberty over him.
How do you know?
How do you know? Because he didn't clearly hold it up and show it to people. You had to be prompted on that ahead of time. Clearly making that.
What you hitting him with?
Wait, is this all fake?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And then Vince Russo's supposed to get 5 minutes alone with Ric Flair if he touches him, and they start the clock, but they don't go the full 5 minutes because a run-in happens on a run-in, so that makes run-in number...
A run-in that happens on a run-in that happens on a run-in.
Yes.
Because fake Sting, then Lex Luger, then the real Vince Russo.
And then there's a new match, and then another run-in happens, which is Kevin Nash. And, utterly confused now.
Under Sting was David Flair.
David Flair, if we did not mention it earlier, and I don't think we did.
We did not.
Which apparently David had already turned on his father, so I guess this turn didn't have as much effect as the first time that he turned.
I thought this would have been the big turn.
I thought so too, but then I was listening to the What Happened When podcast, and apparently it had already happened.
Oh, well then this doesn't even... Oh.
Yeah, I think it already had happened at some point in time. If it was the first turn, it would have had a little more effect.
Could
but I
have
don't
meant
think
something.
I was completely shocked.
Exactly,
So-
I was as well.
For you,
For me, I was like, that's your father. And I had to throw my burrito. Like,
Whoa!
whoa,
it I couldn't finish.
Burrito.
Well, don't worry. I think there's a couple more matches here that you'll have an opportunity to make a burrito in here.
Tons of time to make
one more
so
burrito.
many.
You can make one more burrito somewhere in here. We'll figure out what match it was that you decided to make another burrito.
Probably.
We'll figure it out. What we have to figure out is what this whole angle's about with Sting and Vampiro. Another thing that Standards and Practices said is you can't call it a bloodbath, which Vince Russo could always call it a bloodbath in WWE. They had to say they made it rain red on you, and that's why they're like, oh, he made it rain red on him instead of he got a bloodbath. Another staple of Vince Russo's bloodbaths.
Yeah.
So let's bring in Vampiro versus Sting, and they show a crow up on the scaffold, and I love how when Sting is making this big dramatic entrance, you see in the background, if you pay attention closely, as Sting is walking down the ramp, you will see the guy who's the bird guy
Called the bird back.
walk out, hike his pants up because he's a man of
He's
the size. Yeah, he's a professional. He's a man of size, wearing obviously Jinko short jeans, and hiking them up. He has a ponytail, a black shirt, and he's going to go get that crow.
Whoop whoop. I think there's just some juggalo trying to steal that crow.
It might have been.
Just
It might have been.
family.
So not only did this match have crows, it had a lead pipe.
Fucking furious. So,
Go for it.
we've had so many baseball bats to this point. We even had fake Sting with a baseball bat. So come time for real fucking Sting, why didn't we have a goddamn baseball bat with him? His staple is the goddamn baseball bat.
That's how he made his name in WCW.
But all of a sudden, Lead Pipe McGee. This shit's fake.
That's actually what I said in the amount that they were hitting each other with lead pipes and just getting back up and continuing to wrestle. I was like, because I know that they used a lot of like fake bats and fake pipes in WCW. Like that was kind of a thing. And I just, the way they were swinging around this lead pipe willy nilly, I was like, this shit's fake.
Yeah. And
I'm a pro wrestler and I'm supposed to be offended by that, but like I'm offended that you thought that this would look real.
Yeah.
Like no.
I wanted to love this match. I wanted to real bad because I love Vampiro.
Oh, don't get me started. Vampiro's such a cool dude.
I love him. But this match was fucking awful.
What'd you think of it, Shaine?
At this point in time, my high started coming down, so I had to, I started like skirting into this match. I'm like, okay, soft. So it was just really quick because it started halfway on the ramp. Like the person didn't even get down to the stage. I was like, but I need his story. And then they just started. I'm like,
Not
okay,
enough
we're
promo.
going. Yeah, there wasn't. So, and then it was over just in time for me to blink.
It's all rising action. There's no...
Yep, there was nothing for me.
Nothing for you.
Nothing for me.
But you were yearning for it.
I wanted it.
Okay, you're still yearning for wrestling. Like you haven't, like, considering the limited amount of wrestling that you've seen, WCW has not stolen away your joy for possibly seeing it in the future.
No, absolutely
okay. All right.
not.
Not at this point.
No.
I mean, of all of the people you have on the show, the two biggest characters, you've given zero intro to, minus the fact of they are a part of these two feuding teams.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can see that being...
Like, they had the whole promo with the bloodbath raining down on him, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be the coolest thing ever. And then it was over. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, just like that.
Goddamn Vampiro.
Just as fast as the crow guy came out to pick up the bird.
He was on it.
Yeah. He's like, I gotta get to a Ren Fest and do the art of falconry.
Hey, brother. Don't bring out your turkey legs. He has learned to look for the white papers. I hate that guy.
Me too. Anyways, moving right along to Diamond Dallas Page and David Arquette interview. Already kind of went over it a little bit. And then you have Kevin Nash in the search of Vince Russo. Then we get to a Billy Kidman interview. A lot of stuff going on. We get the Buff Daddy pennant order, Slamboree that we aforementioned. But that gets us to match number 9. Hulk Hogan
Ugh.
taking on Billy Kidman with WWE Hall of Famer Torrie Wilson, with special guest referee, future WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff.
Yep.
Now, on the back of Hogan's...
What the fuck does that mean?
Well,
says fund, F-U-N-D.
Yeah,
F-
I have a question because I don't know what that means.
Okay.
That's,
Was that the question?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the question. It's literally right there.
Okay.
Shaine and Zane have a question.
Okay. Well, keep in mind they are feuding against the New Blood,
Okay.
so you could take it as F-U New Blood,
Oh.
or
Okay.
here I'm just throwing these out.
Wait, did you just come up with a list that you feel is a thing?
I did. It's a list of 2.
Oh, okay.
I put down.
It's more of a poll then.
No. Keep in mind, this was something that happened in the very insensitive times of the year 2000, the year our Lord 2000. So
Okay.
so F, U, and B could stand for fuck Ulysses, new bitch. Which, if you know, Ulysses is Bubba the Love Sponge's real name. And as we know from the sex tape,
okay.
so
Shit.
Wow.
that's what I'm just saying. It's a bit of a conspiracy theory. It's a big of a leap.
It's really what I'm trying to get off the ground. So if you were out
I'm just
there,
saying that's what I'm thinking. Might, but
Okay.
also too, it may also be FUNB may stand for fuck your nudes, brother. Just because we all know how Hulk Hogan takes pride in his nudes.
yeah.
He's like, oh, let me see your nudes. Fuck your nudes, brother. You know, like I feel like that's something that Hulk was trying to get off the ground. So I'm just saying.
I don't like Bubba the Love Sponge, so.
You know who that is?
I worked for a radio station in Florida, and he was playing all the goddamn time, and I hated him just from that. So
Oh,
now that
yeah.
I know he's in or somehow involved in wrestling,
Him and
Whoever's-
Hulk used to trade wives here and there.
And then he filmed Hulk having sex with his wife, and then that tape got released. And that's the tape where Hulk was flippantly saying the N-word.
oh, okay, I do remember seeing that.
Yes.
See, so I have some knowledge,
So
but I just don't like.
you're slowly getting too
I'm getting
overqualified for this.
It's just basically everyone around me has been into wrestling, and I've just gotten the secondhand wrestling knowledge because I have no idea what's going on, but I hear these names and words. I'm like, aha! But I dislike the Love Sponge.
It's like people talking a different language when they're talking
Yes.
about pro wrestling.
Yes,
But
exactly.
you pull these words like Samoa Joe, and they're right at the forefront of your
Yes.
mind. Then.
It's gotta stay right there.
But yeah, sex tape, not even the worst thing the Bubba the Love Sponge has done to me. Just the fact that he says gimmick and brother way too much.
Yeah.
That's the most offensive thing to me. You're using worker terms as if he's one of the boys, which is who I thought Conrad Thompson was, and I stand extremely corrected.
Yep.
So he's actually contributed to our lexicon.
He sure has.
So, as opposed to take from and
Like
pillage.
Bubba the fucking loves.
Yes, like Bubba the Love Sponge. Hulk Hogan takes a Hurricanranna in this match. Let's talk about that.
So that's a fucking thing.
That's a fucking thing that I didn't know existed because I have not seen this match until this moment.
Until
and
now.
seeing Hulk Hogan take a sweet Hurricanranna, pretty impressed with.
Billy Kidman is fucking amazing.
Yes.
When I watched WCW as a kid, wife beater and jean shorts Billy Kidman, favorite wrestler. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Listen, I am a Click apologist. I am also I will defend Hulk Hogan to a point,
Go on.
but I have also been a staunch defender against Hulkamania,
Okay.
and running wild on history most specifically, because if we keep having these people pass on, like your Roddy Pipers, your Ultimate Warriors, your Macho Man Randy Savages,
The
these
good ones.
the people that have always kept Hulk Hogan in check for his bullshit. If Hulk Hogan is the last one left, he will be the one that rewrites history, and we cannot let that stand because he'll just rewrite it with lies. So
We got to go back in time and take him out.
so somebody has to step up and take the place that was held by the Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, and Macho Man Randy Savage, and I will most confidently do that on this small and meager podcast, and I will shout it out on top of the rooftops if I have to,
Praise.
much like I did,
Jesus.
much like I did against Dwayne the Rock Johnson
Speak it,
preemptively
preacher.
before his downfall,
And I say to you,
as I put my hand on my joke book. As if it is my
Because comedy is gold.
I'm merely just this generation's version of Bill Hicks. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm.
Goddamn
Hallelujah.
That is all I'm just modestly saying on a podcast that is moderately listened to.
Swing low, sweet chariot.
I do love Eric Bischoff blocking the leg drop because we all know the Hulk Hogan come back with the block punch, big boot, and go for the leg drop, and he just stepping in. Oh, big heat. Love it. Love every bit of it. This is the one with the where he's trying to put the table in.
I was just like, dude, get it in.
Just
get it in.
This is your first time?
Yeah, I guess.
Just gotta stick it in there.
I literally thought, I was like, so everyone loves Hulk Hogan, and then he can't even do this. And I was like, what's happening right now?
Get it up.
Oh, I'm so full like a stuffed pig.
Hulk Hogan.
Because this was like my first viewing of Hulk Hogan besides like a Nationwide commercial. So like this is all I've seen, and I'm like, oh, I am not impressed.
This is
Perfect Commando.
No Hulk Hogan versus Andre. No Hulk Hogan versus Hulk Hogan versus Billy Kidman is the first Hulk Hogan match you've ever seen.
That's the first. That's it. And I'm like, oh,
God bless it.
That's what this podcast is all about, guys.
Fucking
This right here. This right here.
Glad
Specifically.
Shaine the Franchise Lane, everybody.
Yeah.
This is specifically right what I do with the podcast. I could have showed you any number of wonderful things about professional wrestling, and I showed you your first ever Hulk Hogan match where he wrestles Billy Kidman.
Yes.
And you're still going to take away how great Shane Douglas is.
Oh, but guys, we got one more match to cover, and it is a world title match. And we recap how David Arquette won the title, which I forgot how he even won the title.
I was just about to ask how that happened, because I'm like, he's so tiny.
Yeah, he's a very tiny man. But let me explain to you how they made this work, and I'm okay with it happening. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know why you would do this, but Jeff Jarrett demanded to make a tag team match where the world title was on the line, and his tag team partner was Eric Bischoff, and he'd be going against the tag team of Diamond Dallas Page and David Arquette. And for whatever reason, like, I will put the title up, even though he's a champion. He doesn't have to put the title up. He can just have this tag match, and that can just be it. But the stipulation is whoever gets the pinfall can become the champion. A situation arises. Also too, in that match, they had Kimberly Page, which is Diamond Dallas Page's now storyline ex-wife, where she served divorce papers on live TV to Diamond Dallas Page.
But real life wife.
But she is aligned herself with Eric Bischoff. She is now with Eric Bischoff, and she is the referee of this match. I know
because women need guidance.
Women needs guidance.
Okay, I'm following.
Okay, so obviously she's not going to count the pinfalls that Diamond Dallas Page, like if he's going to pin anybody, she's not going to count it. And they made that very clear. She's not going to count any pins that Arquette or Diamond Dallas Page are going to make. She's just not going to do it. A situation arises where a double pin happens where David Arquette is pinning Eric Bischoff at the same time Jeff Jarrett is pinning Diamond Dallas Page. So Kimberly is getting down there, and she wants to make sure this count happens fast so they can get out of the situation, because it's a situation where the good guys are arising, and Diamond Dallas Page is really beating up Eric Bischoff, her new love of her life, and Jeff Jarrett, a person she was aligned with. And this double pin happens, so she's trying to get down and do a fast count, but the problem is when she is counting, DDP kicks out, and the person whose shoulders were down in that moment was Eric Bischoff, who was being pinned by David Arquette, and then he became the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like that's a far better pitch than what Vince Russo did when he pitched this to happen.
Yes.
So that's what happened, and then they recap. I forgot this happened. Courtney Cox appeared on WCW, which would be quite a coup. So I get why you would do that. And just thinking about Eric Bischoff's theory of running ads in USA Today, so morning sports DJs or morning DJs would just look at the USA Today and like, what are some stories we can riff on? seeing that David Arquette won the WCW World Title, and he's got a movie coming out where he's a wrestler, and you're trying to get people to come out to the movie and know about WCW. I don't think this whole thing is that bad if you look at it like that. I mean, keep in mind,
it's a very clever finish too.
Yeah, and protects the two wrestlers in the scenario, and it makes sense. I mean, it's a little odd that Jarrett would put himself in that situation, but the fact that you have Kimberly as the referee, that kind of protects the situation. But as I described it to you, it makes sense. Yes. Which I guarantee once they were pitching it, it was not pitched that way. Yeah. There's probably far more bros in the middle of that. But I think it all makes sense. And then we're going to have this match where obviously our wrestlers win it back. And we're going to do that in a Ready to Rumble cage match, which is 3 levels. And David Arquette comes out dressed as Elvis. And Mark Madden, who I don't want to give any more credit than I already do, says that David Arquette looks like Elvis. Dead Elvis, that is. So, I do like that. But, yeah. What are your thoughts on this massive cage match, Shaine?
This was my favorite thing of the thing.
Okay.
Like, I was just like, there's a freaking cage coming down from the ceiling. Though it took so long, I could have gone to make another burrito.
This would have been prime burrito time.
This would have been prime burrito time. And I was just like in awe as it came down. And then everyone started fighting inside of it. There was blood. There was things thrown off the cage match. And I'm just like, what is happening? It was fantastic, in my opinion. But there was probably things wrong that y'all were going to talk about.
No, what are your favorite parts about it? You said it was in your favorite. What made it your favorite?
I guess the element of the cage match, because like I saw a lot of people get down like off the ring and everything, and it like this time they could throw them up against like a metal cage and hurt them more, and then they started climbing like freaking animals, and no I know what is it called, the strings to make sure that they're not gonna fall to their death, and I'm just like, they just keep going up and up and oh my god, it was great.
Yeah, apparently that second level where they went through the wall in Tony Schiavone's podcast, they said that wasn't planned.
Oh.
But it looked like it was planned, though. So I don't know if that wall coming down was planned or not. But just thinking as a wrestler, like walking around, there's not like a platform you can walk around. It's like you're walking on kind of like a balancing beam of chain link.
Oh, my God.
Like, I don't know how you were able to walk up
like
there.
Like a different chain link, or like not chain link fence, but like just a regular diamond.
Yeah, there was like a webbing type thing situation, but you could get probably your boot in between there and slip and roll your ankle, and you're moving around up there. Yeah, probably
not the safest thing.
Probably not the safest thing.
I would equate it to like if you fought on a trampoline that was made of spikes and then fell. That's how I would imagine how they felt, and I was like, wow, that's skill.
Yeah. And just the camera shots where on that second level of the cage, like looking out into the crowd, I was like, oh, that's real cool. Yeah. Like I think this was shot very well. Like and then of course the pan up from the jib, like going up, I thought that was real cool too. So yeah, I dug a lot of things about it. I thought this was actually kind of
a really good match.
Yeah,
this is legit probably the best match on the show.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
I was thoroughly entertained by it.
And it wasn't like they didn't sit there too long. Like this match it didn't need to be any longer, and they didn't make it any longer. They didn't draw it out too bad. Where the fuck did Mike Awesome come from?
Yeah, I was just like, was he just sitting?
Because he definitely didn't come the way they all came.
Yeah,
did he just climb up the side maybe, and they just kind of fade that off, or did he just rappel in? Because that motherfucker is just there at some point.
Yeah, like you think the crowd would the crowd reacted to somebody fighting in the crowd more so than they reacted from Mike Awesome running into this main event.
Yes, from what I can only assume was walking upon air.
Yeah, like
Jesus.
I've never thought I would say Mike Awesome secretly appearing on the second level of a cage.
On the second floor, 20 feet in the air, just appeared.
Insane. And of course, the whole story is that David Arquette's just supposed to stay out of the way, and then there was
DDP,
and then all of a sudden cut off at the pass, but he kind of went at a non-dramatic time. Like I feel like they could have narrowed out when he should have gone up. Like, oh, I better get up there and block for DDP, and then The swerve, bro.
I was shook. I did not expect that.
You didn't expect it. And especially with all the nice things you said about David Arquette.
I know. And I was just like,
That son of a bitch.
I know, but I was like, do it. I don't know why. I just wanted him to turn on him. I was like, yeah, but I was still shook.
This is why Courtney left you.
Oh.
This is why you're not Mr. Cox anymore.
Yeah, it's just me and Courtney. It's just, here's the thing, man. I just, yeah, that's all right, It's gonna be cool.
The best for
like,
her.
she had her thing, but I just was the best for her, man. I was going through a thing, and I went through rehab, and she's been there for me. Yeah,
Hope he still has some Scream money left over.
Well, maybe we can ask him. I'm pretty sure one of these days he's going to be on How Did This Get Booked.
Yeah.
Like, we're definitely going to do Ready to Rumble, and he's going to end up being a guest on the show. So,
Nice.
I might be able to make that happen. Manny.
I don't know why you haven't made it happen already.
I mean, the offer's there.
Let
let me see what lines up. I got a guy.
Okay.
We got a guy.
Yeah, I think we need to make that happen because I would love to just talk to him about wrestling and everything because I'm a big fan of him. But what I'm not a big fan of is the end of this match where they throw Canyon off the cage.
Yeah.
They throw Canyon off the cage.
They do.
And he goes to the ramp. And I know most people are thinking that they are more copying Mick Foley being thrown off a cage. Mm-hmm. And also, too, they are copying the plot line of Ready to Rumble where somebody gets thrown off a cage in that movie. Mm-hmm. But here's a piece of wrestling history that you do not know, Shaine.
Mm-hmm.
Kemper Arena. Listen up, franchise.
Yeah.
Cut the fucking music.
Put your listening ears on.
Yeah, put your listening ears on. So there was at Kemper Arena, there was a wrestling match where Owen Hart, a beloved wrestler, a well-respected wrestler, who was wrestling for the WWE at the time, he was rappelling down, and there was an incident where the rigging was not done properly, and Owen Hart fell to his death.
Oh.
And died in the ring, live on pay-per-view, in Kemper Arena.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Which is the same place where Slamboree took place.
Oh, man.
And apparently, if I'm not mistaken, I also heard this in passing, that this was also Owen Hart's birthday.
Oh.
Fuck!
Oh!
So they're like, hey, I got an idea, bro.
And you throw a motherfucker off the cage and you sell it as if somebody had fallen to their death. And that's how you end this pay-per-view in the same building where somebody had actually fallen to their death.
Oh.
So you are of the world that they did this as a straight up poke? Is this gonna be an allegedly thing?
I think this they had this idea because something that Eric Bischoff talks a lot on 83 Weeks. He's like, we never looked at where we were running, like buildings and stuff like that. But I feel like they had this finish booked and how they were gonna do it, and then all of a sudden, like probably months in advance, and they had an idea of this, and I don't know how many months prior. I think it might have been like 7 or 8, so it was almost a whole year. But it was definitely had happened, and I guess it definitely was brought up in the meeting when they were pitching the finish of this match. I'm like, hey, you do realize where we're gonna be when we do this? And they're just like, yeah, whatever. Like it was discussed, but they're like, like I said, they tried to spin it. It was more like we're doing what Mick Foley did,
yeah,
and we're copying what happens in the movie, but
some shit just lines up a little too good.
Oh.
Some shit just when it lines up too well, and I don't think him falling off the cage adds anything more to this show. Mm-hmm. I think it's because this, believe it or not, it is actually, we do a lot of shows that get panned by the critics, but actually Dave Meltzer liked this show, and some people particularly think this is a good show, but it's this part where this show falls into bad taste and it gets bad reviews, and they as something that's like, this is not good.
Fuck you, WCW.
Yeah, like this particular incident where Canyon gets thrown off the cage.
I already thought like it was a bad thing just to throw him off, because I was like, you had this great climax, like, can't believe someone just switched like that. And then you think it's going to be over, and then all of a sudden you just see someone go,
Yeah.
and it's like, all right, where'd that come from? But now with this back access information, I hate it more. Like, I don't hate the whole thing, but like that little part, I'm like, that's
Last 30 seconds. Of
yeah,
this thing.
grr.
Yeah, didn't need to happen.
Didn't at all.
At all. So that's just one of those things where you gotta see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
So, but that's part of the reason why this falls in the category of bad.
It doesn't look like, so they made the big deal about, hey, don't bump here because obviously it didn't break easy.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like it broke easy at all. Like, you could barely tell that it buckled at all. It looked like he just straight up was thrown on this ramp.
Apparently, it was like a lot of cardboard was underneath there. I don't know if it was a situation where they had like plywood, and then when it came time, they moved that away.
Okay.
Like I don't know quite how they had that bump set up, but they basically, he just dove into basically like cardboard, like a stunt man.
Okay.
Like a stunt man would do a dive and then land in all this cardboard. But the thing is too, he's jumping onto a ramp.
Yeah.
One way.
Yeah.
The
A
other.
couple inches one way, and he's dead sooner than he is.
By a guy that could also died as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something to think about there. Now that I've brought this whole thing down,
Let's go ahead and get on out of here.
let's wrap this whole thing up. Shaine, this being first wrestling show you've ever seen,
Yeah.
are you interested in seeing any more wrestling? Or are you like, what are your feelings on wrestling? You have seen WCW in the year 2000, which is considered to be one of the worst times.
Okay.
It closes down a couple months later.
Yes, this promotion no longer exists. I think even at this moment in time, because this was in May, so yeah, they would have been done well before 2001 May.
It happens in, I think they only make 2 shows in the 2001, so maybe February-ish.
Yeah, February-ish, March, or whatever. So like they're done
Because
March
Sit
of
and
next
Greet
year.
were the only.
They barely even make it to, if at all, March of the next year. They are closed down. They are done, and it is still considered a low point in professional wrestling.
Well,
so you've seen the bottom here. What are your thoughts on pro wrestling?
I definitely need to see like the top, because like that's just really wild if this is the bottom of the bottom for this, because I now want to see like what was it like in the heyday, and then I also want to see it live. I'm gonna go watch Glow on Netflix. Like I'm gonna.
You still watch that shit anyway. That shit is awesome.
I'm gonna go do all these things because it looks so entertaining, and I definitely need to see it live, because I feel like that's just a whole nother like atmosphere to be a part of. But yes, I really appreciated being a part of this, because this shit is awesome.
Okay. Boom. Well, maybe I'll.
Period.
I've wanted to get some seminal events. Like I've always wanted to have somebody watch When Worlds Collide by AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Shaine's the first guinea pig for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I like, because he's so fresh and new, and we're gonna go for it.
Yes.
And we're gonna ruin it for you right now, franchise.
Franchise guinea pig. Guinea pig the franchise.
But
franchise Shaine Guinea Pig Laine.
anything else we can say about the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done. Good.
There it is.
All right, Shaine. You have a microphone in front of you. You are.
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
What? I've been blind this whole time.
You are a performer.
Yes.
Please feel free to share with anybody how they can get in touch with you.
Mm-hmm.
Shows, anything that's coming up. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. NBC, how they can contact you. Leslie Jones.
Oh,
If
Leslie.
She's been paying attention. She's listening.
Leslie, I know you're
the
listening.
man who will hand over the franchise title to you, Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas franchise.
Um,
We have the same name, man.
please
So you
share it with
together.
us. Sir. Share.
Yes.
Please say all those
Yes,
things.
absolutely. So if you do want to keep in touch with me on the updates on NBC and whatnot, my Twitter and Instagram is Shaine Laine, but I might change it to the franchise. We'll see what's
Yeah,
going on
there you
here.
go.
And I actually have my own little podcast vlog coming out in April. I know
Okay.
that It's coming out, of course, on 4/20.
Yeah,
And it's going to be called Highest Review. And you'll just have to tune in.
Why are you so
Tune
talented?
in
Why are you
to
so
see
talented?
what is happening here.
Just get out of here.
So just hit me up on these socials. Yeah.
Got any live stand-up shows?
I do.
But don't come see me.
There's just so many. I have to think which one I want to
I think the
promote.
Joe Exploitation show that you're on
Yes.
may have already happened. So
By the time that's what I'm also trying to think of.
you were there, you crushed.
Yes,
You
I
murdered
did
it.
awesome.
Yeah,
They brought you out to Shaine Douglas's music.
Oh, I gotta make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do music there, but I might have to make a
when
special
they
occasion
play
There,
it,
change.
yes, please.
And when they played it and you got to the microphone, you put up 3 fingers like such on both hands and you go cut the fucking music.
Yes, you'll have to remind
And
me,
then-
but yes,
And then everybody that loved wrestling that was there lost their fucking shit.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
ready.
Well, I'm
Let's
definitely
Then you
calling
crushed.
Shane the franchise lane.
Yes, there it is. Well, yeah, for any other like live shows, I know I have one in May. I think it's the 6th, but I have to double check. But again, just follow me on these socials and I'll post these shows. Boom.
Zane, you got anything?
What is this?
This is not coming out this week. I believe it is next week this is coming out.
Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah,
the next
2
week is
weeks,
Fighting
3
with
weeks.
Family, and then the 2 weeks. This is like the last
March.
last Thursday of March. So we get WrestleCon coming up.
I guess I will have been
April.
at StarCast, or I'm going to StarCast, maybe.
Okay. Announcement.
One of the two. That's in Las Vegas. That's the big. Speaking of Conrad Thompson, that is his big podcast and wrestling convention. So I will be or have been there. And I will come home just in time to get ready to go to WrestleCon in the beginning of April with High Spots, where Jake and I will be, along with our friend Caleb, we'll have an awesome match at the Thursday Super Show.
I don't think it's announced yet.
We're not going to here.
We're not going to. We can't break that news.
Yeah.
We can't break that
Especially
news.
since 2 names have been confirmed, but we're still waiting on that third.
Okay.
Because he's not sure he can do it. But yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Which is the one? Is it this one?
No, that one's in.
This
That
one's
one's in. It's the
Oh, okay, that one.
yeah,
Okay.
because it might be taken by someone else.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
All right.
But keep an eye out because it's gonna be real rad when we get to announce it.
Okay. Sounds good.
I don't know. Fucking, I got other shit. I don't care about it.
Yeah,
I make way more money doing conventions than I do wrestling, so that's really what fucking those two matter.
Yeah, and like I said, this is right before WrestleCon. Just support WrestleCon.
Yeah,
That's
a lot of hot shit. I've seen the card. The shit looks amazing.
Okay.
Venus Party will also be that weekend. You know.
Yeah, all that stuff. So I just support that because that's the only thing that's coming up. And this, please come out, buy T-shirts, all that such.
That's what keeps Jake's bills paid. Keeps the lights on around here.
I've got a window bill that I have to pay.
Yeah.
I have brand new windows, and I did this finance thing that I have to pay before July. And if I do not, I get hit retroactively with all of the interest.
Oh, very good.
So I have to pay it off in July, or else I will get a year's worth of interest tacked on. So please log on to howdidthisgetbooked.com for that. Just select the merch tab. Also, too, I'm doing this one shirt called The Power of Professional Wrestling. Actually, I believe April will be the last month where I do this, where all of the proceeds for my Power of Professional Wrestling T-shirt, all the proceeds for that will go to the Timeout Youth Center here in Charlotte. So make sure you buy that shirt. Please support that, because I think pro wrestling has the power to transform and do all kinds of wonderful things. So, like I said, all the proceeds for that shirt will go to the Timeout Youth Center here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was very embarrassed by the amount of money that I gave them in February. I thought I was embarrassed by what I gave them in January, but it was less than February. So please support that. I would appreciate that. And more shirt. I have plenty of shirts. I will not run out. I will make more. So hopefully
You guys are making sure I don't run out.
Yeah, you guys are doing a good job of making sure that the shirt will last even to the next fundraiser that I will do.
Do you have an idea what that's going to be?
I'm thinking something along the lines of like veterans or something along the line. Yeah, just balance it all out.
You know.
But go on both sides of the aisle.
You can go to the left.
Because
I'm going to hang out on the left for a little bit. I'm going to go to the right a little bit.
Because apparently you just can't be a decent human being. I'm like, hey, these people are in trouble. I can help them. Apparently I have to pick sides.
No.
Yep.
There's people mad that I give money to probably an LGBTQ
Yeah,
youth
those
center.
people can fucking suck it.
Those people can
Suck
fucking suck it. And then I'm sure there's people on the left that are mad that I'm helping out troops, so they can suck it too.
Yeah,
Everyone
hey, come
suck
on.
it.
Everybody suck everybody, right?
Everybody.
My goal is to piss everybody off, so that way the people in the middle will respect me. So that's the goal.
Fucking crap.
That's the way to rule the world right there.
I'm just right through a keyhole. Right through a keyhole. Right down the middle.
Manning for president 2020.
If we made any mistakes, please at me on Twitter, or just at me on Twitter if you're an awful human being.
Just at me. I need human interaction.
Yeah, please at me at all.
I want attention.
Yeah.
At Manscout Manning. Email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Castbox, YouTube, SoundCloud, all of that. And big thank you to T-Bone Duffy and _Ray_ for leaving reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Make sure you do the same so you can get a free t-shirt. Make sure you log on to Six Squirrel Studios for all your podcast need. Don makes it sound real nice. This has been another edition of How Did This Get Booked?
Woo!
Woo!
Let's get out here and go play some video games.